When the United States decides to make movies, and it involves Canadians or a Canadian story, they often change a lot of the facts, and that's very much the case with The Great Escape. Now, The Great Escape is a fantastic movie and one of the most famous movies of the 1960s, but it very much exaggerates how involved the Americans were, and it pretty much eliminates the over 150 Canadians who helped make that escape possible. Now, an individual who was pretty much written out of the movie was Wally Floody. He was a member of the Royal Canadian Air Force. He served in the Second World War and was shot down in Europe and became a prisoner of war. He was transferred to various camps until he wound up at a POW camp where a plan was hatched to escape. He had a lot of experience with mining in his hometown of Timmins, Ontario, and that's why he was put in charge of digging the tunnels as well as creating camouflage for the escapees. Another individual was Barry Davidson. He's from Calgary and he was known as the Fox. He was a very charming individual and he was able to charm the German guards and kind of struck up a friendship with them that allowed them to get pen and paper, and that was used to forge documents for the escapees. Eventually, the German guards saw somebody disposing sand in the yard and that got them suspicious, and the person they looked to was Floody. Because of his mining experience, it was believed that he was the man behind these tunnels, and he was transferred out of the prison camp. That would end up saving his life. Despite Floody being gone, work on the tunnel continued, and eventually the escape happened. On March 24, 1944, 76 men escaped from the POW camp. All but 3 were captured. 50 of those who were captured unfortunately paid for it with their lives. Floody, though, he would survive the war, and he gave evidence at the Nuremberg trials after the Second World War. In the early 1960s, he received a phone call from John Sturges, who wanted to do a movie about the Great Escape, and Floody agreed, but only on the condition that it told accurate facts. Despite this, that's not what happened. The movie effectively eliminated the Canadians. Of the 600 POWs who were involved in the Great Escape, 150 were Canadian, and many others were British. Only a handful were actually American. Only one character in the entire movie was portrayed as Canadian, specifically Canadian. That was Flying Officer Haynes, and his only job in the movie was to distract the guards. As for Daniel Alinsky, the character played by Charles Bronson, that is sometimes believed to be based off of Wally Floody. Despite the fact that Canadians were mostly left out of the movie, it actually is a pretty good movie, and a really fun one to watch. But the real story of it is always more interesting, especially when you get those 150 Canadians involved.